What is up, everybody? We have 10 minutes to talk about carbine slings. Now, I've got Jim to my right now. Jim, that is the shoulder thingy that goes up.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of say that.
So across from us to help us dissect this incredibly useful, accessory for your carbine, your AR, we've got Pete from Vortex Edge. Pete, we've got one AR. It's got a sling on it. Now, there's a couple different styles. We got 1 point, we got 2 point, we got 3 point. I think we've got 3 models. They're all 2 points.
Yes.
On the table in front of us.
On the table in front of us. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see them. That's kind of what you guys recommend, huh?
Yeah, so this is a 2-point adjustable sling. Nothing super fancy. You know, back when I started in the Army, 1998, we had this traditional parade-style sling made of this material with just a tri-glide on each end. You ran it through the swing swivels on your rifle, and it was designed to carry over your shoulder in a parade. Wasn't very practical. So
did you get your parade wave down?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Good. I was pretty good. DNC, drill and ceremony. I was pretty good at that. I was pretty good at that. Unfortunately, that was before the War on Terror, and DNC didn't really matter then, and so we needed slings that were actually more practical. So the evolution started. If you look at this guy, there were slings before this, but this was the one that kind of started the 2-point adjustable sling rage. And if you look at this, you recognize what this piece is right here? This is actually a shoulder strap from a military rucksack right here. This is the adjustment on your shoulder straps. And you loosen this up, and that would adjust out on your rucksack. You could take your rucksack on and off. Somebody was like, hey, let me run webbing through that, and now I have a sling that I can adjust to any length that I need.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So what's really cool about these is, there's never a proper length of sling, and so now with a little bit of adjustment here, I can cinch the sling down to my body. I can stow it if I'm doing anything other than shooting. I can run it out. I have just about every length that I need.
And if you're watching on YouTube, like that is a fast, simple adjustment.
Yes.
You can do on the fly. Imagine, depending on what you're doing, you're going to need that a different length.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. I usually run it out to about this length here if I'm just shooting. If I need to do something with my hands, I need to stow the gun. I cinch it down to my body, and then it allows my hands to be free to do other things. I can sling the rifle to my rear, across my back. It's extremely useful.
Yeah. Well, you're not, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. But as Pete's doing this, it's not like he's like weaving something through or here, let me do this. I mean, that is a rapid, just gross adjustment.
Yeah. And the thing is with slings, this happens with a lot of the really important accessories that we see with firearms, is that oftentimes it's easy for us as gun enthusiasts, which many of us are, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as gun enthusiasts, you get really excited about which handguard you're going to get on there, buttstock, pistol grip, which laser engraving you're going to do. You get into all that stuff, and you start forgetting about things like, we've talked about it before, rings and mounts, getting good ones of those. You kind of think, well, that's a boring piece. It's not that exciting. I'll just get whatever's cheapest and kind of throw it on there. You start losing sight of things like maybe a flashlight that's on this carbine here, or a sling. And I see so many people going around with carbines without slings on them, and I used to be one of them, until I started hanging around with the guys at Vortex Edge a lot. And I realized that, you guys, Pete, explain it as though this is essentially like a holster for your carbine. Like it really helps you actually navigate using it and holding it and carrying it around, being like a good user of a carbine more safely.
Exactly.
I would say, right?
Exactly. Yep. I mean, if you have a handgun, okay, I'm not shooting. Well, what do I do with it? If you don't have a holster, you're kind of SOL, right? With the sling, it allows you to actually comfortably hold the gun safely in a safe manner. We can stow it. You can even use it as a shooting aid, honestly. You can cinch this thing down, tighten up your position. There's a lot of uses for it. And it's, use the word accessory. I don't even know if I would call it an accessory.
I mean, it's really an essential.
It's kind of an essential. Like I have to have it on a carbine if I'm going to use it.
And I think a lot of people, they'll build a carbine they primarily take to the range, and that's probably where people start, they think, oh, well, I don't need a sling, so I'm going to pull it out of the case, put it on the shooting bench, and then when I'm done, I'll put it back in the case. But really, a carbine is it's such a handy tool for so many things. I mean, we see people hunt with them all the time now. Hunter sighting this year, I saw almost 50% gas guns coming
Unbelievable.
through, like carbines, AR-10s, AR-15s.
Well, and we're here in Wisconsin. I mean, this is a pretty, I'd say, as far as like gun hunting for deer goes, like a pretty traditional state.
Right.
And so it's interesting to see that transition taking place where the carbine is becoming a traditional gun season option.
Right. So it's used for hunting. It's also used, we call it's a fighting firearm. It's a fighting weapon. And so if you're going to think of using it in some sort of way other than, pulling it out of a bag, shooting it on a bench, putting it back in the bag, then a sling is do that.
Definitely a necessity. Now, there are other types of slings out there. I don't have examples of them, honestly, because we just don't use them. Mm-hmm. There's this single-point sling, typically that attaches on one point in the rifle, and it's basically just this giant loop, and essentially the rifle just hangs off of you, okay? Gives you a lot of mobility when you're shooting, but if you're doing anything else, it's just kind of flopping off of you like a dead animal. It's just all over the place. They're really hard to control. There's no way to cinch it down. They were kind of really big in the 90s. And then the third kind, which is still kind of out there, it's called a 3-point tactical sling, and it attaches. There's essentially, it looks just like this. There's no adjustment, and there's another piece of webbing that attaches on the sling from here to about here on the sling. It's extra material. That sling kind of came about. It was originally designed for a submachine gun, the H&K MP5. It worked pretty well for something that was really small. They saw those. Hey, let's put these on ARs. Essentially, it was just unnecessary. There was all this extra material that ran across the controls of your firearm. It was just kind of unnecessary. So this is kind of the one we prefer, and you can pretty much do just about anything with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing I like about the 2-point is that there's a lot of times where you'll hear people recommend something like, well, hey, I really recommend you get this. And usually it's like the most expensive or the most complicated or the most whatever. But, I mean, a 2-point sling is actually, in this case, it's probably the least complicated, easiest to understand, and there's really probably not a gigantic difference in price between them, but there's a lot of options, and it's not that expensive to get a decent one.
Exactly. Honestly, most of the slings I have right here, the expensive part about it are the QD attachments, which I do really recommend having. Spend the extra money, get these. You don't need them, but I think if you have them after a while, that took me like 6 seconds to pull this sling off my rifle. Now I can go put it on another rifle. If we were just using the regular tri-glides, I'd have to unhook everything, and it gets to be kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those, the slings and those QD connects, those are little things that are actually really big things. They're just going to make your life better.
No, Pete, so one consideration that you need to make, I've run into this now because I'm trying to put slings on all my carbines, or have the ability to put a sling on all my carbines. With those QD points, like I found out you guys like to run 1 point at the stock, sort of at the rearmost part of the gun, and then you like to run 1 point up on the handguard somewhere in the forend. So I started having to find, okay, do I have M-Lock or key mod? I got to get these QD points. I had to swap out one stock that didn't have any QD mounting points on it for a different one that did. And how do you set up your sling on the carbine? How do you recommend that it be set up? Let's say we'll call it right-handed shooter, and if you're a left-handed shooter, you can think opposite here.
So right-handed shooter, just starting off, I actually like having multiple QD points on a rifle. And I know that gets expensive, but I like to have my cake and eat it too. I want to have options. So I started out, I'll mount it on the left side of the rifle because I'm a right-handed shooter. I'll mount the front one up here, as far out on the handguard as I can. And then the other one, I actually like to mount on the opposite side of the buttstock. So as I'm wearing the rifle, it kind of sucks in the buttstock. Mm-hmm. Okay, it keeps everything from flopping around. That's kind of my everyday configuration right there. And on this rifle, I have multiple different QD attachments. If I were to bring this one a little closer to the receiver, now it doesn't really lock the rifle down as tight when the slider's cinched all the way down, but I have a little more mobility.
You're almost approaching single point territory, but not quite.
Exactly. And if I really, really want...
Oh, wow.
I have one right
underneath
here.
The castle nut.
Yep, right there. And that is now really approaching that single point territory. Okay, I can wear this and pretty much I can have full mobility of the firearm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take me long to reconfigure the gun depending on what I want to use it for.
Yeah. So, again, right-handed shooter, you've got the rearmost QD point on the right side, we'll call it, of the carbine, and then the forwardmost one on the left side of the carbine. And, yeah, you just you wind up just wearing it almost like you would wear, I don't know. I mean, if you ever had your arm in a sling or something like that, you just sort of throw your left arm through it and your head through it, and then it just sits right there on the front of your chest, and you're ready to go. You're ready to move around and do stuff.
Yeah. As far as a particular brand, I don't really recommend any one brand. I think most of the 2-point slings on the market kind of evolved from these two designs. There's a lot out there. This is the original VTAC. It's got a nice big pad on there. The adjustment's pretty smooth. This one's made by Blue Force Gear. It doesn't have the tail, okay, but still adjusts pretty smoothly. The one I have right here is made by a company called Sierra Tactical. I think they're all really good. As long as somebody shows up with an adjustable 2-point sling, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost like it's like trekking poles for your AR, or it's a terrible analogy, but
Like a holster for your AR?
it's like a holster for your AR.
maybe
like you guys already said.
We might have.
Interesting.
That's all right.
But I mean, it's just
If
like
you were listening.
there's a lot of things that you're going to be doing when you might be have your carbine with you that don't involve using your carbine. It involves using your hands.
Yeah.
I guess that's the point I was trying to get at.
Exactly.
Which didn't make sense at all.
We talk
but-
about, we have a home defense class, and we use pistols a lot of times in that home defense class because it allows you to do other administrative things with your other hand. You can use your strong hand to shoot or hold a pistol or, cover down on a door or whatever, and then use your other hand to do other stuff. But if you're going to have a carbine for home defense, then that's where, let's say you go in your kid's room or something like that. I mean, you don't want to be like, okay, well, hold on, let me just set this gun down on the table over here and then go over and grab. And you want to be able to have it on you, but secured, anything like that.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds of applications we could go through, but
Absolutely.
Hundreds.
sweet. Well, Pete, is there anything else that we need to cover on the slings? Or I feel like we did a pretty good job, and the fact that we could do it in 10 minutes and kind of go over everything just proves how simple but important they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I would 2-point sling. Starting off, you don't need the QD adjustments, but I think that's something eventually I think it's worth the investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's worth the investment.
Well, then, like you said, with multiple QDs on there, if you're almost getting multiple slings in one.
Exactly.
So you're kind of taking your 2-point, but if you have a need to have a slightly different style, you can really accommodate.
And
that,
if you're like me, cheap, you can buy one sling and put them on many different rifles.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to bring that up as well because I was like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe you're spending some money on some, QD points, but
Oh, I do the same thing with.
That's an easy pop on, pop off.
Do the same thing with bipods. Pop one bipod off one gun, throw it on another one. Do the same thing sometimes with suppressors, stuff like that. Cool. One thing, I'll throw a plug in there because Pete is one of the instructors at Vortex Edge. I'm down at Vortex Edge a lot now. If you come and take a carbine class with us, we actually just, at the time of this recording, finished up one of our intro to carbine classes. We had everybody in there. We supply the firearm, the ammo, all that good stuff, do some shooting. We will introduce slings and kind of navigating how to use the sling properly and all that. And then another thing is if you show up for one of our other carbine classes and you don't yet have a sling, we can provide one and then go through the whole process of really getting you adept at using that properly, and then you can get one of your own. So,
and you might get to meet Pete.
You might get to meet Pete, which, depending on who you are, can be a good or a bad thing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Ouch.
No, I had to throw that one in there, but cool. All right. Well,
thank you, Pete. Thanks,
guys.
everybody, for listening,
Yeah.
and we'll catch you on the next one.
bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. That was awesome.
I almost think we should probably do another couple of shots of us actually wearing. I thought of it in the middle. I'm like, if I try to put this thing on wearing headphones.
Well, when you're
I,
wearing the whole headset.
but it's really hard for people to picture when we're just holding the gun.
Do you want to just do it for the camera here, and maybe Ryan can splice this in?
Yeah.
One of this one in the middle that's kind of up high will get you.
We're always recording, Pete.
That's right.
We're always
That's right.
recording.
That's the one. So what you're experiencing, that's the one thing about putting it on that end plate. It's
Yep.
like then when you want to get it off, it's kind of a
Yep. So.
All right. So We're going to do this real quick. Actually, we're looking in this camera, one of these cameras. We're going to do this real quick because Pete was wearing the headset and all that. He's going to actually show you putting on the sling properly. So check it out here in the camera. Pete, give us a rundown.
Triple check there. All right, so right-handed shooter, left arm, left head goes through, okay, and now the rifle's fully cinched down, okay. I have my hands free for all kinds of activities. I can do just
and like when you say, I mean, it's fully cinched. I mean, it is
Yep.
pretty secure and tight to your body.
Yep.
It's really not going anywhere.
Took no time at all.
Yep, I can cinch it down this way. I can actually run my other arm through here. Now it's cinched across my back. Okay, I can reach down, do some things here. I can also go muzzle up across the back.
Oh, interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
right on.
And it's easy to get to.
Now, I mean, is that
Oh,
kind of the primary? Is that where you like to carry it most often?
This is where I like to start off. Okay, if I'm doing like any kind of like I know I'm in a shoot house, I know I'm not going to be making any long shots. That's when I move the QD back here, and now I can pretty much do everything with the sling. Doesn't quite tighten it down as much, okay, but it's kind of the best of both.
But you're probably likely to have the firearm in your hands during a scenario like
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. But if I go back to that default position, I can still pretty much do anything. And honestly, this is why I don't really recommend single point slings. I can still carry the gun just like this. And now this can do everything that a single point sling can do. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not that you never want the sling to do what a single point does. It's just that you can do what a single point does with a 2-point and more.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. This does everything.
So Pete, like, go from real quick here, like you got the gun positioned like that, it's sling, your hands are free, to just like, yep, I need to use my weapon. Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that.
There you have it.
There you have it. I mean, there it is. There it is. Slings in a nutshell.
Cool.
Pete, thanks for the demo.
Yeah. Thanks,
no problem. No problem.
All right.